You must be everything to everyone, as was the divine Master whom we serve, and the holy apostles, in whose footsteps we follow.
If the superiors feel that you're ready for this or needed in a certain place, that's what availability means.
If you were sent to a job, do the job. If you find out it wasn't well done when you got there, do the best you can to make it better.
And sometimes I surprised myself. I could do things that I thought I could never do. I had successes that I thought I could never achieve, because there's always that other person out there, the people that you work with, the people that are interested in you and who counsel you and work with you. And if you work with them, you can accomplish great things.
Early on, our obediences came in the mail. It was really Achtung, you're here one day, and then they say report to Belleville, Illinois, or wherever, and so you went.
We had the concept of going where we are sent, obedience. The vow of obedience, you can go to hell and high water if necessary. And that's where we went.
Harlingen, I was happy there, you know, but as they did in those days, after 2 years, they sent me to Port Lavaca. Then I was happy there, you know, but after 2 years, they sent me to Eagle Pass. Then I guess I was in Eagle Pass about 4 or 5 years, very happy and everything. Then I got moved to San Benito, but that's how it went, you know. And all 13 obedience, I enjoyed them all.
I was teaching French literature in the Jesuit in Haiti, and overnight I was called to go and replace a father who was sick, and I never went back to the seminary.
You have an obedience. You're going to South America. I said, what? I wasn't happy because, I don't know, I felt that South America was Bangladesh. I said, well, no, but I'm so happy that I went though. Oh, gee.
One time I got an obedience to a parish, and well, I sort of told myself I'll give myself 3 months, because if you're not wanted in a place, I don't think you should stay. If the people don't like you, if people don't want you, well, tell the provincial and maybe somebody else can go. So I told myself I'll give it 3 months. I spent 7 years there.
I joined the Oblates as a missionary. I was thinking of, going to China at one time as a passionist. That didn't work out. So I talked to the Lord, and I said, it hit me, how about chaplain in the Air Force? So I tried that. Oh, no. So had been refused with the blacks, Pilkenwehr, the Germans, Air Force. And so I said, here on out, I shall never, ever ask the Oblates for any assignment. And I've been busy ever since.
They said, which would you prefer, to be in a parish or to be teaching? And I said, well, I'd like to be in a parish. And they said, well, this is not just too bad, because you're going to be teaching.
And you won't believe it, but they didn't send me to Laos. They sent me to New York City, from one jungle to another.
I was up in International Falls. That was one of my first obediences at our parish up there. And one day there was a letter that said, report to Chicago. You are going to be teaching in a high school. I thought, all right. There was something in me that said, that was a good fit.
You worked practically 24 hours a day, time went to sleep. But you loved it. We were with the kids, you're right in with the kids completely. And we only had a small high school, 400 boys. That school lasted 20 years. We got 20 priests out of it.
The thing that was the hardest was being obedient to the superior. Giving up your will in one way. Mm-hmm. And that was difficult in a sense that you feel you're giving up yourself. But the only way really that you come to an understanding is that only if you look upon the superior as God, not God personally, but as the will of God through His will.
When I was in novitiate, we were always told that that's the voice of God coming through your provincial. I know anybody seeing this is going to say, But that was my impression. I mean, that's what we were told in the novitiate. Your provincial is the voice of God. When you take the vow of obedience, you give your will to your provincial, to God, and then you do that.
And I never refuse anything. I always say yes or everything.
That means that you haven't got an office hours. No office hours. You come, we'll help you no matter where you are, what way you are. We'll be available.
It was a joy. It was always a completion of the very fact why I'm living. I would say that. I think my personality is that of going out to people, and never considered it to be a hardship. No, it was. I did it with joy. If you can put it that way.
When their apostolic journeys are over, they will return to the community to rest from their labors. I do not believe that there is any other congregation giving such a moving example in the church. All of its members are simultaneously employed in diverse countries in the two hemispheres to bring souls back to God and to wage violent war against hell.
You become an oblate, it is a call, because it's a difficult life. It can be. We've got some of the greatest heroes in the church of ever. In the north, men cutting off their toes because they froze and they have no hospital, and they're up there all alone using their straight razor. You know, that's only one of the fellows with a broken shoulder having to lug a whole pack some 100 miles. And I met heroes. I only wish I had had the time to write their story.
The broad meaning of a mission is you go where you are sent, and you do, and you are getting to a work that you're not accustomed to.
Occasionally in the seminary, missionaries had come in from the far north or from other countries, and that inspired me a great deal. I thought they have left father and mother, brothers and sisters, and country and everything in order to preach the gospel. I certainly could do a little less than that here.
Well, in those days, we had to teach because we were just starting, everyone was just starting. So you were assigned in a parish, you had your school, and you were part of the whole system.
One of the things that disturbed me was the attitude of those, the better class. When the architect gave his plans for the school, there was no place for the toilet. There was an opening in a hole. And I said, no, that's not, they put in toilets. He says, they'll stand on them. I says, well, that's what we're here for, to teach them not to stand on them. So we got them to put in the toilets. So he said, beside the toilet, he's got a box filled with torn up newspaper. And I says, where's the toilet paper? Put in a, he says, they'll throw that toilet paper in the toilet. And I says, I'll pick it out.
We found out 250 of our kids came only with a crust of bread to school. So we had a big pot and everything else that we cooked for us, a soup for those kids that then came to our school.
The Spanish I worked with in Brawley, they were farm workers. Poor things, they suffered an awful lot. I was in Brawley at the time when, after World War II, when you had farm workers, and the women had to go out in the field and work, and you feel sorry for them. And then up in Montana, you had the about 3,000 Hispanics that would take care of the American farmland when they went on summer vacation.
You're there to help them. Therefore, if you don't help, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And we were taught all the time, you know, to be at the disposal and to help if we can. So it's, if we can, where do you stop? You don't know.
I remember in the islands sometimes when we would have 50, 75 baptisms at a barrio fiesta, and that's when everything was still done in Latin, and you'd have to go along with each one saying each prayer. I don't know, by the time I got to about 50, I don't know how that prayer, how good that prayer was after a while.
And I always told the nurses, I don't care what religion they are, if they're dying, I won't make Catholics out of them. I'll just help them try to get to heaven and pray with them.
We have been called to really, to translate it, to serve the poor. And I believe as I read Scripture and reflect on it, poor not only materially, but also poor in spirit, no justice being served in their life.
It's sometimes a more difficult and courageous mission to evangelize the affluent and well-to-do and the powerful than it is with the simple, poor, ones who are just coming across the border, and we reach out to them.
We got to keep in mind that poverty is not just financial. There's such a thing as spiritual poverty, right? We should have somebody to go out to the very wealthy and change them, right? But the trouble is very often when that happens, the wealthy change the missionary. It's human nature being what it is, right?
If you were in Haiti like I was, everything depended on you. The people at that time, they couldn't write, they couldn't read. I mean, they could talk, that's about it. And I learned their language. But I mean, everybody be coming to see me, as if I was the mayor and I could make all the decisions, you know.
It's different, you know, because the faith is new in all of these places. Even in Brazil, there are so many Catholics down there, but you say they're old Catholics, but they really, right now, to be a Catholic, they have to be renewed.
I was preaching, I forget what it was in Eagle Pass, and Father Nash was the pastor, and he used to type out in nice Spanish the announcements each Sunday. And this particular Sunday, he forgot one of the announcements, and he comes to me at the last minute when I'm getting ready to go on the altar, and he said, besides the regular announcements, be sure to mention this one. And it was about, he had the men in the parish, you know, volunteering to go around, visit all the families. asking for a pledge to, do some work on the parish church, is up. And he said, be sure to mention that, be sure to thank all the men for the wonderful job they're doing, and not to slack off, see? So there I am, the first thing that came to my mind, I said, how in the world do you say don't slack off in Spanish, And it was racing through my mind, and some of the words start coming to my mind was, not to slack off, don't get lazy, things like that. And finally I hit upon one, and I went ahead and used that word, and I thought I was saying in Spanish, don't slack off. And in reality, what I was saying is don't get the diarrhea.
There's a famous saying of Caesar, Veni, Vidi, Vici, I came, I saw, I conquered. My motto, I've changed that a little and said my motto is Veni, Vidi, Velcro. I came, I saw, I stuck with it.
Our part is to try it with all our might, with fingernails and teeth as need be, is to be faithful as much as possible. That doesn't mean successful, doesn't mean sinless, it just means keep trudging. And I think the Oblates do that.
We've had so much experience, vast experience over 50 years. And so we build on that, the experience of one person or another or of the whole community. And which makes it a pretty solid missionary effort,
Any evangelization that is not integral. By integral is looking soul, mind, body, everything else, is not a true evangelization. The sacramentalization is not evangelization, it's part of the evangelization. But you have to look to help the people to develop themselves in all the levels. The integral development of the human being.
A priest's life is not easy. It's difficult. But what makes it nice, what makes it wonderful, is that people love you.
For me, it was the joy that I received in return, the love that I received in return from the people. We need to be loved. We need to be needed. And for the love that I extended to them, it came back doubly.
This Holy Sacrament of the sick, whenever I had administered to the Catholics, I'd always remind myself, that's you too, that's you someday. And you treat these people the way you would want to be treated when you're dying.
I stayed down there 60 years. And if I hadn't had this problem of hip there, broken hip, I'd still be down there. Mission work to me was my life.
You answer the call by being pushed by one or going for a couple of months, staying with one of these fellows, seeing all he's done, how he helps people to eat. He eats what they eat and he goes without it when they're not there. And this is the kind of a calling that you have to answer, or what you become is you're a major leaguer playing forever in a minor league.
If presently we are not more numerous, it means we wish to choose men who have the will and the courage to walk in the footsteps of the apostles. we have laid down the foundations of an establishment which will steadily furnish our countryside with fervent missionaries. We will live together in one house, that which I have bought, under a rule we shall adopt with common accord.
The missionary going into the assignment, I think, must not just go there and do his own thing. He must do the Lord's work in accordance with the will of the community and the ultimate authority of that community.
I knew that it would not be easy. I knew that in becoming an oblate and a priest, you give up your freedom to a great extent to just do and say and achieve what you want to do as a layperson. But I knew that I wasn't free to do that. I knew you had to work along with the whole community. You can't be a rugged individualist in a religious order. It won't work. You have to make contributions that benefit the whole enterprise, everything that we're doing.
Did you ever meet an oblate you didn't like? I know there's some. But they're all wonderful men. All wonderful men. It's great to be around them, great to talk to them, great to have them as your friends. It's just a wonderful congregation.
I'm indebted to the Oblates. I don't necessarily maybe like everything or everybody. You know what I mean? We have, like married life, marriage is not automatic. Community life is not automatic either. It can be very trying, very difficult.
There are some periods where you find it difficult because, well, even in the ordinary family, when you're young and when you're a teenager and when you get married and so forth, family life is wonderful, but there are always some kind of difficulties.
One time I was with a priest in the mission, and I was up late at night doing something, and he came by my room and he said, "You sleep in the morning, I'll take the early mass." I said, "Good." So next morning, there's knocking on my door. I said, "Father's mass." So I ran over and ran over and say mass, and I said to him afterwards, "Hey, I thought you were going to come." It was too late to get up early. When I woke up, it was too late to get up early.
Somebody came into my room, an experienced priest, and talk about this and that, and I didn't feel like listening to him, but I'm part of the community, so is he, so we had to sit there and discuss things. And I think it's a give and take. That's community.
The bishop sent a letter to me, and everybody knew when a bishop sent a letter to you, it had green return address on it, on the envelope. And of course, the Monsignor looked at it, he said, "What'd you do? Go complain about me?" I said, "No." I said, "I don't even know what's in it." "Well, open it up and tell me what's in it." And so here I am, 35 years old, by that time. And I opened it up, and the bishop says, "I want to see you right away." And so I went up, and I says, "Bishop, did I do something wrong?" "No," he says, "you're the first one that never told the old boy to go to hell."
I was more lively than the other fellows. I was young, and I was a master of discipline. We were two of us. The other man was a little more serious, had studied in Rome 7 long years, was a bright man, but had his ways of doing things. I came in, and none of his ways fitted mine, but we ate together at meal, noon, and supper with the students in their dining room, and we never had a disagreement. I had told myself that I'll never win an argument with this man, he's too smart.
I have my own coffin made. Father Vincent Fitzgerald made the coffin. One day Father Vince it was after his heart surgery, about 6 years ago, I guess. He was standing there looking out the window, and I went by and went like this. "Oh," he said, "Bonnie, it's you." I said, "Yes." And I said, let me ask you a question. Yeah. Did you ever, because he's a good carpenter and a cabinet maker, did you ever make a coffin for anybody? No, he said. What? He said, are you thinking of dying? I said, Vince, I think of it every day. And no, you think you can make one? I said, I'm sure you can. Yeah, he said, I think I could. Well, come back in a few days and measure me, which he did 2 days later. Had a tape and measured me, etc. Now I said, I don't have money, but I said, I'll save some instead of going to movies and put it aside, and I'll pay you for what you pay, but not pay for your work, because you're my brother. So when it was finished a few months later, and he showed it to me, it was beautiful. It's hanging over in the garage over there.
That's not easy to work with some people. It's easier to work with others, but we have to give and take. Works both ways.
I wish that everybody would grow in community life and be very thoughtful of each other and all that. Right now it's good, but it can be better.
What I would like to see is us to spend more time together. Enjoy and increase the community life within ourselves in such a way that we would feed the need we have to be really brothers. And with that, the mission will be accomplished.
I left nothing. Maybe I left my immediate family, and really I didn't, to join the extended family. That's the seminary, the students, and then the novitiate, the Oblates. I joined the Oblate family. I was always with the family.
I don't know if you've ever gone to an Oblate house where you weren't welcomed. The door open, the table's always there, there's for food. And it seems so much like being a real part of the family. I've passed through some congregations, and you could feel that there wasn't that brotherly love, that great desire of wanting to respect and to love others, that there was something there that wasn't quite right. And I don't think you'll find that in the Oblate congregation. At least I never found it, no matter where I went.
When I've gone to visit other places, there's a welcoming spirit there, hospitality. And interesting, when I made the annual retreat in Buffalo, the preacher was noting in her talks to us, she said, hospitality, she has discovered, is the charism of the Oblates as well.
When they get together, it's always a happy occasion. Oh yeah, so I would say the spirit of joy, the spirit of sacrifice, but they don't look a part of the sacrifice. They merely, as I said, just doing what they're supposed to do, I suppose. Just it's just normal and normal and natural for them to do it.
Other people have bring their own thing to it, good or bad, it's there. And that's the gift I feel I received, or the support. So that's another word for it.
You have to rely on one another, even if you have to go by horse 3-4 miles, you have to go to see the neighbor, not only to talk with him, but to see how things are going or he's doing, and if he needs help for something or another, because in return he will be helping me.
The same words that Eugene the Masonaut said. He said, charity, 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 love, love, love at home, and zeal for souls abroad. He put charity at home first, which means a real brotherhood.
I thank God that He has chosen you to exercise the sublime apostolic ministry in which, through His help, you acquit yourselves so well. Continue, my dear sons, to honor your vocation, and may the difficulties, troubles, and contradictions not discourage you. These tribulations serve but to render your devotion the more meritorious. Be united among yourselves.